Hi, welcome back to Homestead to Health. My name is Caitlin, and today I have something super awesome planned for us. A couple of videos ago, I said that I was going to leave this area and these beds well enough alone because the things I wanted to plant in here just weren't pressing. However, it's heating up pretty fast here in Texas. And so what I plan on doing today is tearing all of this out of this bed, which this is peas, a little bit of garlic, and a couple of random things, but mostly onions. And I have a place over here also just full of onions. And because these onions are young, I cannot cure them the way that you would find onions in the grocery store in the bag. They've been cured so that they can keep for a long time. So what I plan on doing today is tearing all of this out and then sharing with y'all how I preserve young onions and 3 ways that I plan to cook with them, as well as some awesome facts and tips about onions. So let's talk onions. So there are 3 different names for little onions. And the 3 names are spring onion, scallion, and green onion. And some people kind of use these terms interchangeably. Honestly, those names are pretty generic. So like if I said tomato, but I really meant cherry tomato or beefsteak tomato or something like that, you get the gist. It's just, they're all tomato, they're just different sizes. Grape is a different tomato. Anyway, this isn't about tomatoes. So whenever we're talking about onions, there are 3 kinds, right? There's 3 of the same onion. So here would be a scallion. So a scallion is from the root to the leaves. It's all about the same size. Whereas a green onion is slightly larger and about the same size still as far as like foliage package. But a spring onion would be one that's a little larger, that's starting to bulb at the end. This one's probably not as bulbous and so not a very good representation, but this is about it. So the only real difference between a scallion, green onion, and spring onion is how long that they've been in the ground and how long they've had to develop their flavor. Speaking of, the aroma that kind of like makes your eyes burn and stuff whenever you're cutting into an onion, that's actually sulfur, which is the same thing that you're supposed to smell whenever a demon's near. However, sulfur in an onion is actually really good for you. The sulfur found in onions, it can be really good to help regulate blood sugar for diabetics. It can be good for you as far as preventing coronary disease and stroke. And what was the other thing that I had read? Oh, something very close to home. So obviously you don't know it because you don't know my medical records, but I have something called factor V Leiden, which is a blood clotting disorder. And so onions could be really beneficial to somebody like me, or to somebody else who might have thick blood. Soft brag. But onions can be really beneficial for us because they can help prevent and break down the formation of blood clots. Now, I'm not saying if you have a deep vein thrombosis that you could probably just mash up a bunch of onions and put them in a syringe and just heal yourself. But if you had enough healthy sulfur in your diet, maybe that would be something that could prevent having to go on baby aspirin every day. Of course, I'm not a nutritionist and I'm not a doctor, so if that's something that you want to talk about them with, I would really encourage that. Onions are one of the very few foods that actually, whenever you cook them, it concentrates the benefits for your body. So onions are a really great food to eat not only raw on top of like salads and stuff as a garnish, but also sweated down a little bit or caramelized. Onions are just all around a really great food. The term superfood gets thrown around a lot. Just anytime they want to popularize a food, everything's a superfood. But I think we've all heard that quote, "Let thy food be thy medicine." And I think it's just really interesting to know what chemical compounds are in food that help support our bodies in different ways. So speaking of, another thing that I find interesting about onions is that they contain something called folate. In fact, they contain 16% of your daily recommended value of folate. This onion right here, that's 16% of it. And the man-made version of folate is called folic acid, which I'm pretty sure everybody has heard of, but if you haven't, it's something that is especially prescribed to pregnant and nursing women. And folate is really good for cell growth, especially rapid cell growth that you would find in like pregnancy and stuff. But also, folic acid is really helpful for those who want to like work out and need to repair those muscles after they have been damaged by feeling the burn. So I don't know about that life, but I'm sure onions would be great for it. Thank you.
How about potato? How about potato, Mama?
I am making potato.
Mine.
So funny.
Just like that.
Careful. You gotta hit it a little harder. Let me see, let me help you. Ready? Oh. Okay, so we're actually about to go deliver a bunch of onions to our friend's mom who lives around the way. But before I did, I thought I could read you all these some of these interesting facts. It's called 10 Fun Facts About Onions on $100amonth.com. And I found a couple of these facts to be like pretty interesting, so I thought I'd share them with you. This one I thought was really interesting. The onion was worshipped by ancient Egyptians. They believed that its spherical shape and concentric rings symbolized eternity. They used to cover the tombs of their rulers with onion pictures, and onions played a vital role in burial rituals. They believed that onions would help the dead succeed in the afterlife. And then, like, the last fact that they have is, that I thought was interesting, was the Guinness Book of World Records lists the largest onion ever grown as a whopping 10 pounds, 14 ounce onion. Now, this thing, right here, this thing that I grew myself in my belly, she was born 10 pounds and 4 ounces. And she was a huge baby. She was the size of a 3-month-old when she was born. It was pretty impressive. But that just goes to show, though, that that onion that holds the world record, that thing was 10 ounces heavier than this chunk right here. Hey, are you ready to go to Mr. Frankie's mama's house? Yeah. Okay, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Hold on, baby.
I want chocolate milk.
Here, hold on. Guys, okay, so whenever I set out to do today's cooking project, I knew what ingredient was going to be my main focus, which was the onions. I knew that going in, but with the craziness in the world today, but also just trying to show how you can incorporate things from your garden into like everyday meals, I didn't go to the grocery store for any extra ingredients whenever I set out to do today, or whenever I was planning today. And I saw a recipe on Pinterest for young scallion pancakes, and they seem to be more of like an Asian dish, and I wanted to stick close to what I knew. So I have made corn jacks before, which are cornbread pancakes, slapjacks, but I've made corn jacks before, and so I was like, why not zhuzh it up a little bit with this, you know, the young onion and some bacon. And I wish I had cheddar to throw into it, but y'all, I was like, let me just take a taste of this so I can just kind of be like, oh, it's good. It is so good. It is mind-blowing good. I had to call my husband and I was like, right quick because I'm vlogging, but holy crap, this is delicious. It's so good. Now I do know that making cornbread from scratch, especially with goat's milk, might not be in the realm of things, but if I were to remake this with packaged cornbread, I would use an unsweet cornbread, so not like Jiffy. I would do just a normal southern cornbread. It's so good. The little bit of honey that I put in there is just enough to work with like the honey, or not the honey, the onion and the saltiness of the bacon. This is so good. You don't even have to make anything with it. You don't have to butter it, nothing like that. This is definitely going to go into the family cookbook as a recipe that I'm going to love forever. There's no way I'm going to eat all of these by myself. I'm honestly still pretty full from that huge hash I had for breakfast. I'll probably finish off this one pancake or corn jack, and then I will put the rest in the freezer so that later whenever I'm making like a pot of beans or something, I can pop them out of the freezer, reheat them in the oven, and then call it a day. I highly recommend these. But right now is nap time. I'm going to use this time to go pick wild blackberries and to handle the peas that I pulled from the garden as well. And I will see y'all back for dinner. So I almost forgot to mention something cool at dinner. So onions are related. They're related to other vegetables in something called a genus. And their genus family is called, I'm gonna butcher this, I'm sure, but allium. And the vegetables that belong to this family are leeks, garlic, chives, shallots. You can probably imagine that these are all very similar plants. So just like garlic, onions do best whenever planted in the fall so that they can grow throughout the winter and then come up in the spring. At least here in my area, if you live in a different zone, I am zone 8B. Yes, I'm zone 8B. And if you live in a different growing zone, you might have different standards. But for here in the south, planting in the fall for a spring, like today, or summer harvest is how you would get the best outcome for your onions and garlic. So if you're wondering how it tastes, excellent is a great way to sum it up. So the coconut sugar and the sugar from the pineapple juice, that is what really gave it this nice char, which honestly I love. It's so good. And then the sweetness from the bell pepper, the bite of the onion, it's very pleasant, it's very good, especially charred, it's very good. This is another excellent dinner for the books. Do you like it? Oh, you got some onion? Mama made y'all some without onion. Sorry I cooked a chicken in front of you. Y'all, it's just that time of year where no vlog is complete without a little peekaboo trip into the garden. So let's just see what's growing today. Look at it go. It's trellising. This is what grown-up nasturtium looks like. Nasturtiums are definitely our early bloomers. Another nasturtium, baby. Oh my goodness, look at the stripes on that candy cane zinnia. Guys, it's so perfect that we're ending today's vlog out here in the garden. Every time I come out here and I see things growing and getting lush and really filling out, it's just, It's so exciting to me, and today especially it makes me wonder, what am I going to be cooking next? What's going to come next out of my garden that I get to cook with, that I get to play with? I'm just in love. Is that appropriate to say? I'm in love with my garden. Every time I come out here, it'll be a day maybe, and I'll come out here and everything looks so fresh and everything's growing, and I know here soon I'm going to just be overwhelmed by harvest. Today's harvest of the onions, I got 3 awesome meals out of it. I had my hash that had the garnish, I had my corn jacks that had the onions within, and then I had my kebabs at the end of the day, and everything was such a huge hit. There's so many other ways that you can cook with scallions or young onions. I thought about chopping them up and like frying them, which totally could do. I thought about putting a tempura batter on them to fry them. There's a lot of ideas that you can have. I encourage you to go on Pinterest. As always, I love Pinterest. I did forget to mention one last awesome thing about onions, and that is no matter what your level is of a gardener, it doesn't matter what your space is like as a gardener. If all you have is a windowsill or a teeny tiny backyard, or a little container, you can definitely grow onions. They take up no room, especially whenever you're harvesting them as young as we did today. Guys, I really hope that today's video inspires you to grow your own food, cook with your own food, and that it just inspired you to feel more connected to what you grow and to look at things a little bit more complex. Knowing that your onions are full of all of these great things, knowing that your food has a history and backstories, I think all of that is just really compelling stuff. If you haven't already, please subscribe. I've got great things coming up in the future, and it was so exciting today to share today with y'all. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see y'all later.